If I had a brain, I
could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain.
Okay, so welcome everybody again. It's pretty much a big honor for me to be here. This is my first trip to Seattle. It took me around 50 years to get here. I do think of Seattle every day because I drink my Seattle's Best in my Tassimo machine. And I think Tassimo now is no longer doing something with Seattle's Best, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do, but I enjoy that. Mike Lorraine, thank you, longtime friend and customer, and Jerry Thompson, thank you for getting me out here. Mike sent me a video of the show, and immediately after I looked at the video, I made my reservations back in February, and I hear Jerry's voice every day on my phone system because he's a very famous voiceover artist, and he does the phone system at pinballsales.com, Jersey Jack Pinball. So that's kind of cool that he did that for me too. Also, the other thing I'm really excited about, which is kind of like an extra little candy bar on top of everything, you know, we're doing The Wizard of Oz, and I've learned so much about The Wizard of Oz, the movie, and all the things that go with it, and Seattle is known as the Emerald City. So what a great place to be, too, to be at a pinball show. So that's kind of cool as well. This morning, you know, a lot of you that are here, I know some of you are customers, some of you have ordered our game already, and some of you have taken time this morning. The show just opened. You should be in there playing pinball because that's what you came for, to listen to the ravings of me and my lunatic mind and all those that will come after me today in their little pin chats that they give. So it's really kind of cool that we have the support that we have the community growing, and young people here as well, people that drove 14 hours to get here, and all that kind of stuff, people that traveled across the country, and certainly from Italy, welcome. So, you know, you probably heard a little bit about this new venture that I've set up, Jersey Jack Pinball. It was started, you know, probably as I never thought that I would do something like this, but it got started because our customer base is thirsting for full-featured mechanical pinball machines with today's technology, and that's what we're going to be building. So all the guys that we've assembled, and some ladies as well, every week that goes by, we've added more and more people that are working on the game. We released some artwork last week for Backlash that was in black and white. I'll show that again, or it was up there. It's actually up there. I didn't realize that was still there. That's a scary picture of me. It's worse than the Wicked Witch. But all the artwork for the game is complete. It's all been approved by Warner Brothers, which is kind of cool. If I knew how hard it was to do all the things that we're doing, like other things that I've done in my life before, personally and professionally, you know, it's a good thing I'm stupid and I don't know how difficult they are, because if I really knew how hard they were, I'd have, you know, paralysis by analysis. So what I did was I went out and I hired the best people in the industry, according to me, and certainly according to a lot of other people as well. One of them is here this morning is Greg Frères, who's our artist that you could get him going on. Certainly, Greg will be, you know, he'll come up and he'll say a couple words about his involvement with our game. Greg will be doing all the artwork for the playfield, plastic sets, decals, all that kind of stuff that's going to be hand-drawn. The artwork that was done already, Jerry Vanderstelt did that. For his approval process, it's kind of a cut and paste kind of thing, but he creates unique characters. So when I show you the Wizard of Oz Backlash and you see the Wicked Witch, that Wicked Witch really doesn't exist anywhere. That Wicked Witch is a creation of 3 different style guides. So it came together to be something unique for the game. So, anybody expecting to see something other than the 1939 movie in this game will be disappointed, because that's what I licensed. Very expensive license, complicated license. 2 historians work on it full time. So not only did I pick, I believe, a great license to begin with our first game, I picked one that's very complicated to deal with. And then I picked to go build pinball machines, which we know that's easy to do too, and everything else that we do. So it's only taken me almost 36 years to get here, because that's how long I'm in the industry. And everything really, the credit is not to me. The credit is to God. Anything that I'm able to do, I give God the credit for. And every day I start my day without a lot of stress. I just give the day to Him, and He just tells me which way to go. And my day works perfectly. I don't have any fear of anything that we're doing, that it's going to be a failure, it's not going to work, we're not going to sell games. We sold almost 600 games already, and I basically showed almost nothing about the game. That's based on my reputation, my customer base, all the people that we have in our team, and some of the things that we're showing. Could we sell 1,000 games? We could sell 10,000 games. Somebody asked me the other day, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, at Allentown. So Jack, let me try to figure this out. You're going to build pinball machines, and Gary Stern, is building pinball machines, and we know that market is declining, and they're not being sold. What makes you think that you're going to build pinball machines and sell them, where he's selling what he's selling, and how is there going to be a market for you? And my answer was kind of off the top of my head, as it usually is. We're building a pinball machine, but it's not the same product that Stern is building. It's going to have a ball, and it's going to have flippers, and it's going to be fun to play, and there's nothing wrong with a Stern pinball machine. We sold thousands and thousands of them over the years. It's a different product. It's a different market. My customer base to sell this game to are operators like my friend Bill Masterman here. Where's Bill? Bill's an operator in this area. We sell him games now, ELOUT games and things like that. He does work for us at one of the parks we have at Water Blasters with the other company I work for. I just like mechanical games. I like things that have a lot of features. I like games that have a lot of flippers. This game's got 5 flippers. It's got 2 upper play fields. It's got ramps like you can't believe. There's money going into this game that would make other people's hair fall out of their head. You know what? We're going to sell the crap out of this game, and people are going to play it, and it's going to make a lot of money on location. And people are going to buy it, and they're going to love it. Not because I say so, as a business person or somebody doing this to make money. Yeah, we're going to make money. We're not going to be one of these companies like Wayne in Australia or other people that make one game and lick their wounds at the end of the day. Certainly, I've thought about this for a number of years. And when you saw the releases that I made starting in January about what I was doing and how they were coming, I hired this person, I hired that person, I hired the other person, we licensed this, we did this, we got Williams Bally parts. That stuff, I'm pretty good, but I'm not that good. That stuff took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy and money. It also took a really good reputation. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but when you're in the business, as long as I am, and you do things the right way, you pay your bills, you stay good with your vendors, because my name is on my company since 1975. Jack Guarneri Service Company is the parent company of all the companies that I'm involved with, except ELOUT, which I'll get to in a minute. I only have one name, so I have to be good with everybody. So it's really been a lot of fun for me. It's been a little weird. It's been a little strange now and then. It's been a learning experience. I have other designers and other people in the industry calling me and emailing me every week. And, some other designers that want to do things and have great ideas. The good thing for them is now there's going to be 2 pinball companies building pinball machines. It's true right now that there's only one company in the world building pinball machines, because we didn't build anything yet. We could be a pinball manufacturer. I guess we're going to be a pinball manufacturer. Absolutely, we're going to be a pinball manufacturer. At the moment, when Gary talks later, and he'll tell you that he's the only person in the room that knows how to build a pinball machine. Well, I don't know how to do that. And you know what? I don't have to know how to do that. I hired all the people that know how to do that. I can be the dumbest guy in the room. I really don't care. It's fine with me. You know, I don't have to say I know everything because I'm doing this 36 years. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a lot smarter than I am today. All right? Every day I want to learn something in this. And all of you make this possible because I wouldn't just build the game and say, well, what do I do with this thing now that I built it? Who's going to buy it? The cool thing for me is that I know the end user of these games. As an operator, I'm involved with a company called Elout USA, and I'm the president of that company. And that company operates thousands of games all over the United States. It operates in Universal Studios and Busch Gardens and all the Six Flags parks and everything like that. So I'm an operator, and I've been an operator for a long time. I started as an electronics technician, but those days they were called a mechanic. I started fixing electromechanical pinball machines in 1975. So my idea was I was going to school to be an electronics engineer, and I took 6 months off to go to work. I just answered an ad in the newspaper. My electronics teacher at college said, don't do that because you won't go back to school. And I said, no, I'm going to go back to school. And I never went to college. So honestly, it really hasn't hurt me. I think it was part of the plan. I've been blessed every day because I had a lot of fun in the business. It's not that I got to go out in the street and break up, you know, concrete with a jackhammer or something like that. I'm really lucky doing what I'm doing. And the part about pinball that comes back to me is that I own a number of pinball machines at home. Some of my favorite games are the old ones like Buckaroo and things like that, where I really had to work on that game when I play it to just make 1,000 points light up. So in my heart, I'm a player first. And what we're building is not what you want, okay? It's something that you don't even know that you want yet, all right? If it's going to be fun and it's filled with features and toys and all kinds of cool things, then you're going to put your money in it commercially because it's going to make money, and you're going to buy it and keep it in your home as a keeper. It's not going to be a game that you bought to flip because you can make $2,000 selling it or something like that to get rid of it. I don't know. That may happen. You know, we have people, some people, we put a limit on 2 games a person, and maybe there's 25 people that order 2 games to do that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break this up in a couple of different ways. I'll stop, take some questions, then I'll show you some new things that we're doing with the game so that Mike gets to lower the lights later and he gets his video right. And then we'll come back, I'll talk a little bit more, you'll be sick of me, I'll take a couple more questions, and you can go back to the rest of your life today. So is that microphone working? It is working. Okay, so anybody have a question, just go up to the microphone and I'll answer it. Okay, nobody? Thank you. No questions? The first place. Okay, there's somebody.
Good. What's the process that you use once you've got the license or once you've got the base idea? How do you translate that into a pin? This has baffled me for decades.
I don't know. A lot of people know a lot better than me. What it is, you know, in my mind, for a first game for a new company, it was really important to have a license. And Drew Maniscalco is somebody that worked for Sega, and he worked for a lot of different companies, Chicago Gaming, and he works for me. And he's involved with licensing. So we went to Warner Brothers, and that's who we picked, and we looked at a whole bunch of licenses available they had, and one of them was The Wizard of Oz. Actually, we were looking at the Three Stooges first, and the people at the Three Stooges wanted too much money, believe it or not. They've called me now like every day for 2 weeks looking to just give me the thing. I don't want to do the Three Stooges. So anyway, I can imagine the kid with the saw over his head, you know, ripping his head off or whatever. So on the list was The Wizard of Oz. And I just, God bless you, I just said, I said to him, I didn't like much of what was there. I mean, I'd like to do The Hobbit if it's available later on, in 2013, maybe. But Wizard of Oz, so I said, you know what, get the Wizard of Oz. And Drew, his reaction was, really? Yeah, really. So we negotiated that. It took quite a time to get that. And the next part was who was going to bring that game to life. And Joe Balser is a friend. He's designed a lot of different games, including The Simpsons, which sold thousands of games, and he designed South Park and a whole bunch of other games too. And I told him that he would be the lead designer of that game. And I brought Dennis into the company because Dennis lends other talents that Joe perhaps doesn't have. So the two of them together, having two people collaborate on the game, really made it a lot better. And I needed two people that weren't egomaniacs, that didn't want to be director of design and development or somebody in charge of a bunch of people or whatever it was. And Dennis has a very even-tempered personality, and Joe, while he could be a little warm sometimes and think of certain things in only a rigid way, Joe and Dennis work very well together. So the next part of it was I realized I knew I needed an artist to bring everything to life, and over the years I've become friends with Jerry Vanderstelt, who did some things before in pinball, and he's a spectacular artist. So I got him involved with it. I knew I needed a great pinball artist. And of course, somebody that was friends with Dennis as well and collaborated with Dennis wouldn't hurt. So I was fortunate enough to get Greg to come into the project. And then in the story I told not long ago, Dennis said to me, you need somebody to do sound. And I was, what do I need sound for? I mean, we're going to license all the music from the movie. What do I need a sound guy for? And I understand now that Chris Granner is writing all the things that he's writing and creating all the things he's creating. Wow, how would I do without Chris Granner? And then to bring all the other people into it, the people that are making the mechanisms now and the different toys and all the other parts of that. It's like creating. It's almost like putting together like a Broadway show. And if you ask this question to Gary later, I'm sure he could lend a lot more because he's obviously doing it since he was born. But it's not like driving nails into a playfield and putting xylophone bells in there and there's a pinball machine. It's today, especially because everybody is so overstimulated with technology, and you have great games that somebody could play right in the audience in front of you, which is cool, that are better than what we're offering in arcades. You have to continue to wow your audience to try to get them to say it's great. And that's the part of it, and right now we have a development office, a design and development office in Illinois, that the guys collaborate together, and they're doing a Whitewood playfield now. They're putting a game together so they could shoot it, and I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'm learning a lot. I mean, I've looked at the books. I've seen what it takes to make a pinball machine. I've been at Stern a million times when they're doing stuff, and I see a Whitewood becomes a game, becomes something further and further down there. But to see a train move or to be on the train and run the train, it's two different things. And I don't have any regret. It's a wonderful experience that we're actually chronicling a lot of the things that we're doing so that we could compile it, in some video format that I'll probably get Mike to do for us at a later point. So yeah. Yes. So, put that man's mic on.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. So you're using a LCD for the back box, right? So I'm building a virtual pin, and I've got a 28-inch back or LCD that fits easily into a standard Williams back box. Why'd you choose 26 versus a bigger one versus a smaller one? The electronics people in our company, the part of the design team, chose that because of how it formatted to the artwork, how it fit in the cabinet. Dimensionally, there's going to be a lot of heat produced from it. And I think Wells Gardner made a size for us that worked better than a different size. So it had to do with what was available, what fit, and what was priced
so that it was not a crazy thing, you know. And I wanted to have something that was not a consumer product. I wanted a commercial product. I don't know if you bought a commercial monitor or a consumer monitor, because sometimes the sizes vary. You know, if we bought Vizio monitors and ripped them out of a box and then tried to put them in here, it's not the same as getting a Wells Gardner monitor that you know is going to have a 2-year warranty on it or anything like that. So I wanted that commercial monitor, so it worked out.
How are you going to gauge success? Like, at what point will you know it's time to start working on a second pin, or have you already started on that?
Dennis, good question. Dennis and Greg are doing game number 2. And Dennis and Greg have already come to me with some theme ideas. And some of them are really good. They're not licenses per se, but they're ideas that are as good as a license. Because I want to believe that if you still build a really great playing pinball machine, it's still a great game. If you take a great theme and you have a crappy game and crappy rules, it's a crappy game. It doesn't matter, okay? So if we have a game that they come up with and it's fun, it'll sell. And gauging success is gauged a lot of different ways. For me to get to this point, just announcing what I've announced only 5 months ago, that's a measure of success. If you say, okay, let me stop here, and that's a measure of success. Success is going to be measured when I see the first real game roll off the assembly line, or I see kids like him playing the game, or I see people really having a good reaction, because we become like a chef in the kitchen, okay? So we create something that we like, but we need to create something that we like because we know you're going to like it. Like I said before, we're trying to give you what you don't even know you want yet. And that's kind of an interesting thing to grab a hold of and think about for a moment, because the thought process for a lot of people is, well, if you give your customers what they want, you'll be out of business. And, you know, listen, we're not going to make everybody happy, and I don't want everybody as my customer, okay? Guess what? Some people are just too much trouble. Some people don't like it. Some people don't like the Wizard of Oz. Some people don't like you know what? The miserable people. I don't need those people as my customer. What do I need them for? They're just going to be trouble. Let them go buy something else from somebody else. I don't really need every customer. The good thing is that pinballsales.com has almost 12,000 customers. Wow, over like 11 years. And I know so many of those people personally because I've dealt with them. They haven't bought maybe one game. Some bought 30 games from us. And it's been great. So to create, that's cool. I like that. What is that? It's not mass. It's okay. You're not interrupting anything. It's just me. So, you know, to do that, success is also going to be money in the bank because it is a business and it has to make money. And in the business plan, you know, that's kind of what I have in there as well. Is this your second question?
Yeah, sorry. And going back
to all right, that's okay.
Going back to the visual pinball hyperpin thing, there's been a lot of success with selling the Williams collection for the Wii and the Xbox and et cetera, et cetera. Have you considered releasing your Wizard of Oz game as a virtual pinball, whether it would be on a console or be, you know, like a visual table that people could purchase? Has that been part of your business plan at all?
You know, the great thing about doing what we're doing, where there was only one company on the face of the earth doing it before, is that I'm getting hundreds of emails and phone calls and interviews and magazines and TV and all kinds of things now that people are waking up to the fact of what we're doing. And we've been approached by a company to do just that. So, you know, at the moment, you know, my quick and easy answer is, you know, I don't want to talk about it right now because my head's going to explode, you know, because we got like a million things going on. The good thing is that I'm not a control freak. I don't need to be involved in every single thing everybody's doing. So I could delegate that to somebody and say, you know, take care of this and make this happen the right way. And when you fall in a pothole before that happens, let me know what's going on. That's how I like to manage. Because in ELOUT, as president of that company, I have almost 300 people work for me. And there's things going on all the time, every day, everywhere. And if everybody had to get me and my authority and my opinion and my okay, it wouldn't work. So what I do when I manage a company is I give you responsibility and authority, and I trust you. Okay, I don't need to get involved in it. I don't tell these guys, well, don't put this bumper here, put it there, don't put this here, do that there. I'm not a game designer, okay? I'm a game player. Everybody has an idea of what they think their idea is the greatest. And the other part of this thing about doing that game, you can't fall in love with your own idea, because you got to be open for criticism. You got to have a thick skin. And growing up in Brooklyn and being a short kid with a big nose gave me a thick skin, and it made me very fast, so I didn't get my ass kicked. So, yeah. But, yeah, we have been asked. So, could it happen? Yeah, I'd love it to happen. You know, the artwork for the game, doesn't matter that it's not there. The artwork for the back glass, Jerry is going to do that. There's some forms that were, like, scattered around the room. Jerry Vanderstelt is taking that artwork, and he licensed it from Warner Brothers to make it into a limited edition print and lithograph. So what I gave out was a chance to win, that we're going to give away 3 of them at some point when they're done, because that artwork he's doing by hand, that's going to be a canvas on canvas, an oil drawing. So, anyone else? That's good. So everybody is good. Okay, so let me grab my iPad here, and I'll connect it to this wonderful video device. And we'll go from there. If I fall down, you could have a good laugh. Something's happening. You want a chair, Jim? No, I'm fine. Okay. Dim all the lights. Okay, so what we have here is Matt's fingers. Everybody knows Matt from Back Alley Creations. And what we decided to do, we're going to have the ruby red slippers be the 2 flippers at the bottom of the game. And if you think that's a little girly, that's okay, because then we'll just give you a pair of green translucent flippers to exchange that with. So you don't have to, if you really have a manhood issue and you can't deal with the ruby red slippers there, we'll give you a pair of green, right? You like that, Greg, right? That I thought of that, because I know somebody's going to say that. So anyway, that's one little prototype. It won't have heels. It'll be vertical, and it'll flip kind of that way, and there's different modes in the game where those flippers will be doing something. Maybe when Dorothy's got to go home and she's got to click her heels 3 times or something like that too. So let's see. All right, I'm going to go back to this for 1 second and just explain it, because I think there was a little bit of some things we read on our news group as well as RGP about different people having some questions about what that was. The game itself is going to tell the whole story of the movie, which is what we would expect. And that's what Warner Brothers and any licensor would like you to do. So again, different images in here. It's absent of munchkins. Why? Because when the witch came, the munchkins ran away, and Jerry Vanderstelt drew every single line on the whole game so far, on the outside of it anyway, and he had a reason for everything. And he explained like all the different things to me. And I know Greg, he really understands this so much more than me, because he's one of those very artistic people that is wonderfully talented. Me, I just look at it and I say, okay, I was happy that it was a collage. I didn't know what he was going to do. But the cool thing for me personally is that this is going to become a 30-inch by 40-inch canvas that's hand-painted in oil. And I bought that personally separately from Jerry. So that's going to hang on my wall somewhere at home. And Joanne said it's not hanging in her house, so find a place to put it. So I don't know, I have to put it in my office or something like that. So anyway, but I can't wait for that to be done. And that'll really be cool. Let me find the next one. All right, so there's the lower left part of the playfield. I know, I'm really bad. What you have here is, let's see. This bumper is going to become like the Omaha balloon from the state fair. That's kind of like at the end of the game, like when you're losing your ball. And you're going to be able to bump you're going to be able to bump up into all those targets and possibly even get your ball back to go back up into the playfield. This was a tiny little piece of what was released before. Probably in another couple weeks, I'll release significantly more of the game. But that, as they say, is a little tease of a little tiny piece of it. That gives you an idea that we're not really thinking traditionally. Okay, so there's a traditional thought process about pinball. It must have an Italian bottom. It must have, things that feed to flippers and this and that. Some of that is there and some of that is not there. It might be one. I don't know if there's any. Let's see what else. All right. So that's the side of the game. And what you have really on this one side of the game, where the flipper button is really the beginning of the movie. And as you work your way towards the back, the different scenes come, and then you go over the head, and then the other side of it, which I'm not going to show today, shows the rest of the movie. So you have the darker elements, the witch, different things that happen on the other side as well. This again, it's going to become a canvas that is hand painted. The graphics on this game, they're applied onto the game. They're not screened to the cabinet. So they go on vinyl and they get applied to the cabinet. And I think for operators, it's probably not a bad thing. When I was an operator, a lot of my pinball machines got messed up and I really couldn't touch them up because there were no way to replace graphics. And good thing today, Rick from Planetary Pinball, I think, who's talking later, we're doing a lot of things with him. We're able to have replacement graphics for these games. So that's going to be a good thing too. Oh, a couple of people asked me my relationship with Gary Stern. My relationship is still pretty good. We're still friends. That's an older picture, I think, right, Gary? So, yeah, and we still get along, so there's no problem there. All right, I think that's going to conclude the video part of this. I can't pull one other thing up that I wanted to pull up, but. All right. You could put the lights up, I guess, again. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
I'm sorry I had to think of how to phrase this because it's kind of a bummer question, but there's a lot of towns, the town I live in, there's 80,000 people, 300,000 people, depending on how you want to count it, how big an area. There's maybe 3 pinballs on location, none of which are in good repair. But you look online, iPad games, Xbox Live games, the digital versions of the pinball are always, in the top sellers, it seems. So it seems like there's this tremendous appetite. But for the physical pinball, it seems like there's almost no presence. Do you have any insight into that?
Well, that's a big can that just got opened up. The problem commercially is that operators need to make money. So let me put my operator hat on for a second. If I have a choice to buy, a crane. Elout is a company in Belgium that builds cranes. Those things that sometimes you think you can't win on, but you do win on them. And every time you put a new prize in a crane, it becomes a new game. So there are cranes out that were built by Elout in 1985 that is still at very high traffic locations like New York Casino in Las Vegas. A friend of mine, Michael Getlin, that owns that arcade, he's got Elout cranes that were built in 1985. And he doesn't replace them because they still make him money. We try to sell him new stuff. He buys new stuff once in a while, like for that, but he says, why should I buy it? The thing is making me money, why replace it? And it's a great, it's a great response. So today an operator, just like a consumer, because an operator is still a consumer, you have to get a return on investment, right? ROI, we call it in the industry, and that's what's known, right? So without giving a business class, if I spend $5,000 on a piece of equipment, how long do I want to wait to get my money back? I want to wait as short as possible to get my money back, right? That's the common sense answer. So if a crane is going to make me $400 a week, okay, and a pinball machine is going to make me $50 a week, let's call it even $100 a week, okay, if I could dream of one that did that, well, I'm going to take my money because I only have X amount of money in my pocket to buy something, and I'm going to buy a crane. Or I'm going to buy a redemption game that gives tickets, kiddie gambling. Or I'm going to buy some other something, a punching game, or something that has legs, something that's an evergreen kind of game. Now, pinball was always a staple of our industry for many, many years. 100 years ago, shuffle alley games were the thing, and you saw them in all the bars, and everybody in cold weather places played shuffle alley. When video games came in, they said, get that shuffle alley out of here, and they could put 3 video games in and make $1,000 a week, where the shuffle alley game was making $50 a week. With pinball, the problem again is, as I see it, is that there's not the return of investment on the game. So we operate pinball machines. Elout USA operates pinball machines because I love pinball, okay? So we have some pinball machines out on the route. Maybe, I don't know, let's call it 50 games. So I looked at a collection report, and actually if I start my laptop up, even after this, I'll show you collection reports where you don't have to believe me. You could look at it and see a location that, let's call a location that made $10,000, okay? And I looked down the list, and Universal Studios, USF, Universal Studios Florida, Night Islands of Adventure. At USF, I have a Shrek in the room that's there, all right? Did $43 last week. Richie Listash, who's my vice president of operations, he breaks my chops every week about pinball machines relentlessly. He told me the other day I could put a shoebox there with a coin slot and it's going to make more money than that. Get the thing out of there. And I'm sad. I know it's funny, but it's not funny. It's funny because that's Richie. Richie's a big dummy, and he'll say stuff like that. And I know this is being recorded, so he can't deny it because I'm not lying. It's true. He's an industry guy that's in the business since he's 16 years old, and he's 55 now, and he's probably the best operating guy in the country. When he goes to trade shows, manufacturers go up to him like he's bulletproof. Come and look at my game. I'll sell you. No. Part of our problem is Elout as an operator. Again, I'm talking as Elout, which has nothing to do with the pinball company at all. We build, and I trademark this, we build the best earning games on the planet, okay? Because they get longevity, they earn money, they're great, okay? We know they earn money, and we operate them, thousands of them, okay? So if somebody says to you, well, you should go get an operator don't want to buy a pinball machine, well, you got to get operators to buy pinball machines. How? You're going to go to them with a gun? I'm going to force the guy to buy a pinball machine because it doesn't make him any money? He could buy a roadshow and put it in a location and make $40 a week. I don't need to buy whatever is out right now at the moment to make $40 a week. That's the sad thing. That's why for an operator, They're not buying pinball machines. Operators today are not buying really great games. Elout has a great game called Disco Round, and Bill has one. And Bill, what kind of money is Disco Round doing? Okay, $250, $300 a week. That is a redemption game. It's a merchandiser, I'm sorry. It's a complete skill game. So there's no percentaging or anything like that because Bill got that approved in the state of Washington, right? Where it's very, very difficult here to get anything approved that has any percentaging to it. So this is a complete skill game. You put prizes on a rotating playfield, and you move this, not a crane claw, it has a magnet, and the magnet goes down, and the playfield stops, and you grab like an iPod or something like that, and you win. So it's a skill game. If you're good, it gives out stuff. If you're not good, it doesn't give out stuff, and that's kind of a cool thing because we don't want to be ripping people off. We want to make sure the thing wins. Now that game, Bill, come up to the microphone. I don't want to embarrass you a minute. Come up here a minute. That's Bill Masterman, everybody. Bill is a great guy. He's not a plant. I didn't plant him in the audience. I didn't pay his dinner last night like I did for Jim Schellberg and this other guy, Gary Flower. You know, Bill, how long are you in the industry?
34 years.
Okay. Can you answer the question that was just asked?
Sure. Well, basically, like Jack's been saying, hitting the nail on the head. Back in the day, like in the mid-'80s, a dog pinball, we'd buy one. Every one that came out. An okay pinball, 10 or 12. A great pinball, over 20. But back in those days, average earnings, the bad pinball, you figured your first one out of the box, out on the route, $175 a week. That was a bad pinball. You didn't buy anymore. Like Jack was saying earlier now, a good pinball at best, $75 a week. You better take a picture of that collection report because it's an unusual circumstance. It's unfortunate, but...
What do you, now I've turned this around, I feel like Phil Donahue. Anybody know who Phil Donahue was? Okay. Oprah. So I watched Austin Powers on the plane. You know, it was kind of cool to see that again. What a great game and a great pinball machine. So let me turn this around. So what is the future for pinball, and what do you think a pinball machine has to become then?
You know, if pinball just has to become something. If it could do 150 a week, I'll call that a good pinball. So to make that happen,
what if the pinball machine was $3,000 and then you can get your return on investment?
That would be wonderful. Yes,
okay.
We could put it back on the map. So we're down to operating maybe 40 pinball machines from hundreds years ago. So.
Right. But the player base that you have for pinball, there's still a player base that wants to play.
There is hardcore, dedicated player base. Yes.
Do you see young people coming to play pinball, or do they look at it and say that game looks old and I don't want to play that thing?
You know, unfortunately not. They walk right by. My 16-year-old daughter has a birthday party at our house. 10 more 16-year-old girls. I can't get them to play a game on it. It's wow. We need something to attract the young people again. So.
And Bill, you know, thanks for taking care of all the water blasters and everything else you do. Thanks for getting Disco Round Jersey legal. Well, Jersey legal we got to do too. We did, but Washington legal because that was difficult. And my point was, you could go sit down. Thank you, Bill. I actually forget how many people I do know in this industry for all the years and where I am in the world and who it is. It's a very fortunate thing. But my point to start was that Bill didn't rush out and call me and say, you know, Jack, I want like a dozen Disco Rounds. You know, that was a $4,300 game, right? So there's a $4,300 game that earned what'd you say, $250 a week? Okay, so take it to a pinball. If a pinball machine's a $4,300 game, and it's not going to earn $250 a week, operators, and no disrespect to you, Bill, operators are not buying that game, which doesn't break, not only because Elout made it, there's nothing on it to break. It doesn't break, doesn't need any maintenance, there's no settings, it's idiot-proof, okay? And again, no disrespect. That's why it passed muster in the state of Washington, because it was very simple. There was no percentaging to it. There was no, you know, high tech, and it's a game that we've patented too. So here's the thought. If operators are not buying that game for $4,300 that's making $250 a week, How are they going to buy a pinball machine for $4,300 that makes, let's call it $100 a week? They're not going to buy it. Pinball has become, unfortunately, the necessary evil in a location. It's if I have a bar and the jukebox is doing $200 a week and the pool tables are doing $300 a week, and I have a dartboard and I have something else, and the guy says, "Hey, listen, you didn't put a new pinball machine in here in like 14 years. Could you go get me a new pinball machine?" The guy's forced to say, "Okay, I guess." And a lot of times they won't buy a new game either. They'll go buy something off somebody's route, or they'll fix it up and they'll put it out, because they're just resistant to spending money. And I could get into my philosophy of why that is, and I believe part of it is because a lot of the operators, it's a very mature industry. In lifespan of the industry, because of technology, it's a very mature industry. And it's also a very mature industry in ownership of companies. So we had an industry where a guy had a route, and his son, well, he didn't want that for his son, because you got to go to a bar at 2 in the morning and fix some game or whatever. My son's going to go to college. So the son became a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, whatever, and second generation, third generation, whatever. They're not in the industry. That's grandpa's business. So that's dad's business. And when dad goes and passes, he's not putting any more money into his business. If I show you Replay Magazine, which is the industry trade magazine that I write for, and that's where the Jersey Jack name came from, if I show you that magazine from 10 years ago, and I pick, the June issue, the June issue is that thick. Okay, if I gave you the June issue today, it looks like a leaflet. There's nothing there. There's no companies advertising. Everybody cut back. They cut back on research and development of new games because the market's not there to buy them, because the players aren't there to play them, because the players are doing that. The players are downloading games. The players are playing games online. You could play against somebody on video games, we all know, with headsets and big screens and all that stuff. It's not... When you go out there and you see those great old games, yesterday I was playing Gunfight. I have one of them. Or you play a Ramtech tank, or you play Wheels, or you play Space Invaders even, or you play those things. When we played those games and we put them out on location, because I was there that did that, I could tell how much money my games made because my wrist hurt me. I still remember that $100 is 5 pounds of quarters. Those games made so much money for the company I was working for that we couldn't even count the money. We had to weigh it. Right? That was the truth. Okay, there were no bill acceptors on anything. There were cash boxes the size of shirt drawers, and you couldn't move them. You had to scoop money out of them because you couldn't even pull the cash box drawer out. Those are great old stories now. Those days are not going to come back, no matter probably what pinball machine I build or Gary builds or anybody else. It's not to say that we shouldn't try, and it's not to say that we don't need to evangelize and spread the word about what pinball is. And I said it before, pinball does not belong in a museum. Okay, I know there's a museum in Seattle and it's a great thing and all that. I'm not going to say that. I got to get over there. It belongs out in the public. These shows and these gatherings are great, but everybody else has to go play games too. And the whole operator thing, let me go back to that for a minute. If anybody says to you, you got to get an operator to buy a pinball machine because that's going to be the future of pinball, and without that, there's not going to be pinball. Okay, I don't believe that to be true. First of all, I believe there'll always be pinball because pinball is something. If God forbid Gary's not building games or I'm not building games, some other nut is going to come along and start a company and build games, or you guys are going to just rise up and build games yourself. Okay, which happens. Or, you're going to revive all the old stuff and build it, because pinball is not going to go away. It's something that exists, and it's out there, and we love it, and we're going to keep it going. But the thought process of getting operators to buy pinball is a great thing, but the economics of it is not a great thing. And if you go to the location, if you go directly to the location, because the operator in the location won't buy a pinball machine. I talk to the operator, and the operator says, you know what? You go buy the pinball machine. You're not going to buy the pinball machine. You're a truck driver. You're a teacher. You're this, you're the other. To me, honestly, I'm going to say something, and people are going to think I'm attacking somebody. But my company, Elout, builds cranes, and they operate thousands of cranes. Well, guess what? When we build The Wizard of Oz, we're going to operate hundreds of those games. Because when I'm a chef and I cook the meal, I'm going to eat it. Okay? So if anybody tells you that you should go out and buy that game, look back at that person and say, well, how come you don't operate like 500 or 300 or 200 of those games if it makes so much money? How come you don't do it? How about we get a couple more now? I want Greg to say a few words, if he would.
Can you give details as far as pricing? I know the first 1,000, I thought there was a cutoff date when that was 6,500, and I thought it was passed.
Yeah.
And so what is your current philosophy on pricing, and what are the differences between the Emerald City limited edition version or whatever, the special edition versus what everybody else is going to get?
Okay, good question. The games that we're building, that we're designing, we're not building games yet. We'll be building games. Actually, the guys putting together Whitewood games right now. The game right now is $6,500 on a pre-order, okay? And I made it so that everybody, there's a lot of different reasons why we did it in a payment plan. $6,500 is still a lot of money, and people wanted to pay it off. So what I did was I made it refundable up until August 1st. August 1st, there'll be a lot more detail. People will see the play field. They'll know what the game is. They'll know more about the artwork. They'll be able to make an intelligent decision about whether if they want to buy this game or not. And on that date, the people that want their money back, if there are any, you'll get their money back, whatever they paid in so far on the game. And the price of the game on August 1st becomes $7,500. That's the retail price of the game. We've added several distributors in the U.S. and in Europe that have made orders. And counting their orders, we're close to 700 games right now. If I don't, well, we're probably over that. I got to get a little handle on that. My daughter said to me the other day, she said, "Did you order any games for pinballsales.com?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, what happens for all the people that don't know that you're building this game and you're going to tell them you don't have games?" So actually, I got to, it sounds kind of funny, but I got to actually reserve some games for pinballsales.com as well out of the 1,000. So that's what's going to happen. On the 1st of August, the game's $7,500. A bunch of our people that became distributors in the U.S., all of a sudden they'll pop out of the closet and they'll be taking orders at that price as well. What makes the game different when we go into regular games, which sounds almost as silly as me thinking I'm going to start a pinball company, now talking about regular games, it's reality. These games, they'll have different color treatment to the game. They'll all be signed by the design team. They'll be limited. They have numbers. There'll be some programming differences in the game. This game and anything else we build, regular or limited, I'm not doing a limited on every single game. This is only this time because this is a first game, and this title deserves to be a limited edition, Emerald City limited edition game. So we're not going to the well with every game that we do. You know, I hate to tell you, Greg, unless you and Dennis sell like 5,000 games, then we'll do some limited game or whatever. And that could happen too, why not? But I'm not doing limited where one version has a magnet and one has a ball, and one game you get the legs, on one you get the glass, everything's optional. I can't deal with that. It's too confusing for me. I'm a simple kind of guy. So I want to make every game the same. They all have as many magnets as one has, the other's going to have. There'll be a price difference. You know, the regular game will be less expensive. I don't know how much less expensive at this point. We are working on that because we do have people asking us about that. So did that get you on everything? So right now, actually, we're still taking deposits. They're $250. Then we roll out, you know, maybe a month from now is the next payment and the next payment. But, you know, you're going to bump into August pretty fast. So we're working with everybody. You know, a couple people wanted to just pay for the whole game. I don't want your money. You know, some people, Europeans especially, right now the euro is very low. I have people in certain countries want to order entire containers of the game just based on the information that we have, and I'm like, wait till you see what it is, okay? Just wait. And I got people calling me when the euro goes down, they get mad at me. I told you I wanted to send you money. I don't want your money. So, well, I can't make everybody happy. It's great. You got to be me for an afternoon. You can't. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. God, you can go after.
Jack, thank you for stepping up and making this game happen.
Kerry Richard, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Drove how many hours to get here?
Over 14.
14 hours
Yeah.
to get here.
From California.
Long-time customer.
Thank you. Very excited about this. Just wanted to find out, there's so many toys and goodies and ramps and flippers. And I didn't know if you were going to make this a standard cabinet or a wide body, or if you can't comment on that, I would understand. But any thoughts on cabinets and size?
It's really, really hard, I think, to build a pinball machine, and it would be probably insane to build a wide body game right off the bat for the first game. So, you know, it's a full play field. There's a lot of stuff on there. And I don't know, you know, there hasn't been a wide body game in a really long time. If you look at the list of pinball machines, probably, I don't know off the top of my head, maybe Indiana Jones, Twilight Zone, and Star Trek Next Generation that Steve did, spectacular game. Those are probably 3 of the top 5 games, interestingly enough, a wide body. And maybe they're also top is because you haven't had a wide body game in so many years either. I don't know that you'll ever see a wide body game again, because I think you got to tool differently and your assembly line and a lot of different things. It's different cost involved, different everything. So different way to design it. You know, Steve will tell you it's a lot different designing a wide body game from what they tell me. You know, in all of the games I've designed, 0. You know, Steve will tell you. I know, Steve. I heard you. In all of those games. In all of those games, so it's harder. It's harder. It's different to design a wide body game than a regular game. So, I guess the short answer was no. But if the game is a wide body, you just call me a liar then. That's all.
Hey, thanks again for coming out to the show. I'm from Portland, and I just wanted to make a couple comments on what you've said today. One, in response to the Shrek that doesn't do good on location in Universal Studios, I was there just recently. I go there pretty much every year, and I was astounded by the fact that I was in that game room for about an hour before I even saw the dang thing. So if it wasn't shoved in a corner, you know, where it was completely hidden, I wonder if it'd make like another $10.
No, actually, the one you saw is funny. It's not there anymore. The one you saw was under the steps when you come down from the ride. And the game next to that game, that's at Islands of Adventure. So that one did a little bit more money than this one this week. That one did about $68 this week. That one made more than the other one, and the other one's just in a row right in the middle. But, you know, it's true, placement of where they are, you know. But then again, it's real hard I don't want to interrupt you. It's real hard justifying floor space where you have a game that, and believe me, that game, God bless you, that game when it first went in there, it was right in the middle of the room for weeks. And I relentlessly got the crap beat out of me, and I said, well, put it where you want to put it. So, you know, I got to give up the space for something that's going to make more money. So.
Yeah, I understand. The second thing is in terms of like, you know, route operators and making, you know, money on locations. I think that, you know, a lot of people say in 1985 the Nintendo killed the arcade, right? And I think redemption games ended up killing pinball. Even though it was inadvertent, it's just kind of what happened. And now when like I have kids too, and when we go and play, there's a couple locations in Oregon that have pinballs as well as redemption games. No one's ever playing the pinball, and I can't even get my son to play it. That might be because I have 15 in my house. I don't know. But the reason he's not interested is because there's just no instant gratification with it. There's nothing that you do something, and he doesn't want to play for 5 minutes. He wants to play for 10 seconds, get some tickets, and then go spend 2 hours trying to figure out what pencil he wants. You know, so I'm wondering what, you know, and I'm not sure if there's even a way to address that, or if we want to get the young kids into it, what are you going to do to appease that short, limited time span that kids have for giving attention to something, and they also don't have the understanding or patience for the complexities of, you know, a good pinball game. Thank you very much for answering my questions.
Thank you. I mean, you know, those are good points, and I don't pretend to have the answer really. You know, you can't just take a ticket dispenser and put it on a pinball machine. I don't think that's really going to do it either, because, you know, there's a lot better games that are demanding your money when you go to an arcade. You know, when you go to an arcade and you have this money, you say, well, do I want to try to win an iPad, or do I want to, you know, play a pinball machine? And the kids, you know, they've been conditioned You know, a lot of people with redemption, they've been conditioned it's a form of kiddie gambling in a way. In some states in our industry, there are some stupid operators, because that's what they are. They rip the customer off and they don't give them the right value and they don't award prizes, and they just have a different mentality about it. They work very hard to give away nothing, especially in cranes and things like that. It's going to be a hard thing with pinball. You know, I don't have the answer completely for what it is on location in a redemption format. I think, though, if a pinball machine is fun, it has the right theme, it has the toys, it has the sound, it has the music, it has the artwork and everything, it's going to attract you over to it. And if you play it the first time, even as a kid, attracted to it, chances are you'll play it again. You know, and really, probably, I've said it before, every pinball machine, we have operator orders because we've had operators order the game. So what I said to the operators was, I'll give you a Mars bill acceptor out of my pocket that you could put on the game, so that you don't have to worry about coins, because I don't carry any coins and people don't put coins in games. So really, those games are not going to make money. I think the first part of it is, and you know, you go back again, who has change on them? You know, so if I have to look for change, or I have to go to a change machine, if you go to one of our arcades, an Eloud arcade, you'll see in an arcade this big, we'll have about 10 or 12 change machines. If you go to any competitor of ours, they'll have probably 4 change machines. Because if you have to walk any distance at all, I lost you already. A change machine doesn't cost anything. You know, the guys will say, well, it doesn't make me any money, but without it, it doesn't make you any money. So there's a different philosophy of operating, and that's why certain operators are profitable and still in the industry, and certain operators are out of business. It's a philosophy, and where do you want to go? Do you want to just survive for today and get by, and is your goal, is your measure of success paying all your vendors? Then you created a job for yourself. If you created good jobs for hundreds of people, and you have a profitable company, and your customers are happy with your product, that's probably a measure of success. So, I know, my head's spinning too.
One quick question. You're using Bally Williams parts. What are you using for electronics, and how are you addressing serviceability?
We've designed our own board system. We had a board system designed for us, and it's being tested right now. And the game can do anything a computer can do. So whatever your computer does at home, the game's going to be able to do. Our warranty is not going to be measured in days or minutes or moments. It's going to be measured in years. So standard warranty is 2 years. You know, and our distributors, they're going to have a 3-year warranty that they're going to be able to give you. And what that'll cover, there's no score display, which is a good thing. So it's going to cover the circuit board, which you don't have to fix it. We'll just send you one. You know, we'll advance you one, and you send the other one back. Same thing with the monitor, Wells Gardner. We have a 2-year warranty on the Wells Gardner monitor. Mechanisms, different things in there. You know, typically on a pinball machine, they're not under a warranty. On ours, I want to put them under a warranty, because as an operator, you're going to get a very short period of time where you have a warranty because of what goes on a route, but it's still going to be longer than what the industry standard has been. Because again, as an operator, I want to make sure that your game is working and your game is supported. So we'll have support through distribution, and in places where we don't have distribution yet, support will come direct from us in New Jersey, where we're building a game. And, you know, again, you know, to think about this a little more forward, you know, I could envision a real full-blown pinball show in New Jersey with a factory tour at our 42,000 square foot building. We're going to be doing a lot of things with games, with charity events. Next year, you know, we should be able to give away one of our games here where it doesn't cost anything to this organization. We'll just give you the game for free, and you could auction it off and keep all the money for yourself. You know, it's really not all about money all the time either. There's more important things than that a lot of times. Hurry up.
Hi.
Hi.
You were just talking about how
cool shirt. I like that.
Thanks. You were just talking about how depressed the pinball hobby is and how operators aren't making money from the games and so forth. and yet you're starting a pinball company and you're expecting to sell them for $6,000 or $7,000 a piece. I'm just wondering, besides making a good game, an attractive game, how else are you going to grow the hobby?
I don't want to grow the hobby. I want to grow pinball. So to me, I'm a player. I don't want to look at it as a hobby. Okay, it's a big part of my life. Let's say. Okay, so no disrespect to that. I know what you meant, but the trademark saying that pinballsales.com owns is we sell everything nobody needs. That's what that company does. It sells everything nobody needs. So that customer base can certainly support a company to sell X thousands of games. So really, what do I want to sell in 2012? Well, we're going to sell 1,000 of these games because that's certainly the way it looks like it's going. Building games, probably by the time we really get the assembly line running and everything, it's January, February, where really a lot of games are coming out. We will build some games this year that will have prototype games. I think getting the game into mainstream America and the rest of the world and promoting it, getting some of our customers to play those games, maybe getting the game, in more of a public forum, is going to help it as well, and certainly getting it on location where people see more of them should help. I don't know that it's gonna. I don't know that it would hurt if you went to your operator and you said, you should buy one of those games. I still don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's the only thing that we should rely on, though. That's good. Let me get Greg up here. He's so patient. Come on up, Greg. All right, we'll answer. Okay, so here's Greg.
I'm not good with impromptu speeches, and it's always a little scary to get up here and talk on behalf of Jersey Jack Pinball, because right now I know too much, and Jack is very calculating about how he's releasing information. So when I walk around and people go, so what about this and so what about that, it's like, I'm sorry that I don't always give you exact answers. I just can't do that right now because I'm not the marketing guy. I'm not the person making those calls. So I have to be very cautious and about what I speak about and all that kind of good stuff. So I have absolutely nothing to say right now. No, I'm just kidding. What I can say is I'll be here tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and so I don't want to feel like Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. So please come out and see me so that I don't feel lonely up here. It's been a great opportunity. I didn't know Jack. Like 6 months ago, right? And I know Jack a lot better now than I did 6 months ago, and he's passionate, and you guys can hear that. And he's also from the operations side, so knowing that and bringing that into this is important. And it's going to be interesting going forward because this is a unique situation for me too. I'm an outside contractor. I've been contracted to do the playfield art and plastics and the paraphernalia that goes with anything on the playfield. And I'm working with new people. I've never worked with Matt Reistetter before, and he's an amazing artist himself. I've never worked with Joe Balser before, and it's kind of fun because, just like Steve Ritchie and I had a great relationship on a couple of games, I now have another designer that I can, do this to, and give them a little grief once in a while. And, it's kind of fun working with new people, and it's also fun getting the band back together. We got, Dennis and I have been working together on something for a couple of years now, and We've also got Mark Wayna just got hired back through Jack. So we're slowly but surely, we're getting a team assembled that's going to put something. Chris Granter, I mean, come on, this is all good stuff, and we're going to do the best we can, with what we have, and I'm looking forward to the end result. But it's the journey to get to that end result is also a very important part of this. So it is a unique opportunity for me and for the team and for Jack too. So it's going to be an interesting journey on the yellow brick road. So. If you have any questions for me right now, I could see, I'll do this. Give me one question, and I'm going to look over here, and he's going to go yeah or no or whatever, and then we'll go from there. So if anybody's got a question about the playfield art that doesn't exist yet, why don't you have the playfield art started? Well, there's got to be a playfield, there's got to be a flipping white wood, there's got to be rules, there's got to be inserts, there's got to be all sorts of stuff before you really can solidify anything on the playfield. So believe me, I have been staring at Joe's drawing. It's in my studio, and when I'm on the phone or when I'm doing other stuff, and I'm staring at it. I'm staring at it every day, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this will go here, maybe that'll go there. But just like Jack said, if you get married to something too early in the process, that's not a good thing either, because then all of a sudden, we're not going to put that there, we're going to put that over here. Oh, okay, now I got to completely revise my thought process. So, it's the same old thing. We've been doing this for years, and we're going to bring the best that we can to this project, and hopefully project 2 is going to be just as much fun. So hang in there with us, and hopefully in another year or so, less than a year, we'll be seeing good progress. Whoop, Mike.
Hello? Okay. So you had said, Jack, that there was going to be Photoshop stuff in this, and I was just curious as far as isn't that what you said? No, it's not going to be Photoshopped. It's going to be hand-drawn playfield? Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, then I guess my question's mute.
I mean, think of Lord of the Rings. Jerry's work on Lord of the Rings, that's a finished painting. I mean, so yes, I mean, everybody uses Photoshop to get things started, but it's how you take it from there and progress with it to make it, what it is. So there's going to be a finished painting on somebody's wall at the end of the day for that backlash, and that's going to translate to the art that we're going to put in the game. I've never worked with Jerry before, and I'm not really art directing Jerry like I have on other projects with other artists, but I will do my best to make the playfield and the plastics and whatever blend in with what Jerry does, so that it all is a cohesive package, just like what I've done in the past.
Great. No other questions?
Would there be a flying monkey across the playfield?
Like Jack's answer to something like that, what's going to be on the playfield? Watch the movie, I mean, yes, there's elements from the movie. This is like one of those things. George Gomez always said, a really great game starts with, it's like a board game. You open up the box, you spill out the contents, and here's all this stuff that you can use, and that's exactly what Wizard of Oz is. It's a rich content with a lot of different things happening, and somewhere there's going to be a flying monkey, so.
Will there be a cow? Dorothy has a cow.
Not that Jack knows about.
Unless you draw, get him to draw one. He can draw one on there. Was that spinning in
the CEOs never know exactly what's going to happen, so. Anyway, thank you.
Is that it? Is that it, really? Any more questions? We've got a chance for a couple more. Okay, go ahead. Ladies first.
I was just wondering about the timeline of production.
So they're doing Whitewood games now. They'll be shooting that. We'll have some of our industry experts come in and play the game and tell us that it's great or it sucks or this or that or whatever, and we'll see what that comes to. And then before the end of the year, we'll have a number of prototype games that are completely done that we're able to put out on location and beat the heck out of and see what happens to them. And then, production games I would expect to begin at the end of the year and into January and February and on and on. So you won't get the game for Christmas. So.
It seems like
Sorry.
you're trying to satisfy a lot of people. You're trying to satisfy operators who are going to the general public, and you're trying to satisfy all of people like us that are collectors that want really deep games. What's your thought process as far as trying to satisfy the novice versus the expert who really wants something deep?
I think it's important. Good question. I think it's important to be able to walk up to the game and just have fun and bang around the flippers. And, it's not going to say shoot here and shoot here. It's not going to be, It was a good idea. There was nothing wrong with that. I love that, shoot here, Steve. That was good because you got a lot of people that, they don't know how to play pinball. And Gary called that, I think, Pavlovian pinball. So the game kind of teaches you what to do. And I think that's a good idea. So there'll probably be some element of easy. And remember, Keith is programming the game, so there's definitely going to be the element of deep. I don't tell them what to do. I really don't. It's not that I don't care what they do. It's just that they know what to do in a lot of ways. I can trust them in a lot of different ways. So we had that discussion, and the game has to lend itself to a casual player. And the game has to be challenging enough for a good player. And, I'm not worried about ball times and somebody staying on the game for 20 minutes and doing all that stuff, because different things we're doing in the game that are going to change as you get better on it. Maybe the game is better too, and it gets a little harder also for you to play. Well, anyone else? All right, so thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.